Some lions are more than just kings of the jungle. They're legends whose lives could pass for movie scripts. From the real Scar from The Lion King, a battle-scarred dominator who truly ruled Africa's plains, to the lion whose shocking death made headlines worldwide, and the legend whose thunderous roar has opened every MGM movie for generations. Today, you'll see the 15 most famous lions, each with a story that'll make you see them in a way you never have before. Number 15. King Moya. If Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia were real, he'd look exactly like King Moya. This white lion lives at Glen Garriff Conservation Sanctuary in South Africa and became an internet star after photographers captured him walking through golden grass like something out of a dream. Moya isn't albino. His striking pale coat comes from a rare recessive gene found in lions from the Timbavati region. Born in captivity for conservation, he's one of the few white lions on Earth allowed to roam freely in a protected reserve. His white mane makes him a favorite for wildlife photographers and magazines alike. His photos have been featured in National Geographic, Daily Mail, and countless social media posts. Moya doesn't face rival coalitions or fight for survival, but he carries a different weight. He keeps the endangered white lion gene alive for future generations. In a world losing its wildness fast, Moya is a living symbol of beauty, rarity, and preservation. Number 14. Fang. If Disney ever needed a real-life Simba-turned-battle-worn king, it would have been Fang. As the ruler of the Marsh Pride in Kenya's Masai Mara, he was easy to recognize, not because of his mane, but because of the large, broken right canine that dangled awkwardly from his mouth. Despite the injury, Fang led his pride for years, hunting buffalo, defending territory, and holding ground against younger males. His life was featured in Disney Nature's African Cats, narrated by Samuel L. Jackson, which followed his battles and challenges in the wild. One scene showed Fang being outnumbered by two rivals, yet standing firm. His broken tooth became a symbol of resilience and grit, turning him into one of the most admired lions in wildlife documentaries. Even after he lost dominance, Fang remained in his old territory, often seen resting under trees like an old war general watching the next generation rise. Scars faded, but Fang's legend held firm. Number 13. The One-Eyed Lion. Marjan wasn't just another zoo animal. He became Afghanistan's most symbolic survivor. He lived at Kabul Zoo through decades of war, enduring bombings, starvation, and violence. In 1993, a soldier entered his enclosure to test his bravery. Marjan struck and killed him instantly. The next day, the soldier's brother threw a grenade into the pen, blinding Marjan in one eye, deafening him, and shattering his jaw. Still, Marjan survived. For 9 more years, he became a national figure. Locals brought food despite having barely enough for themselves. Reporters from across the world came to see the battered lion who wouldn't die. When he died in 2002 at 23 years old, hundreds attended his funeral. Kabul Zoo still keeps a statue of him, a bronze reminder of survival against all odds. His wounds told a story most couldn't read aloud. But Marjan didn't need words. He became a voice of resilience in a city that needed one badly. Number 12. Scarface, Messiah Lion. Remember Scar from The Lion King? Scarface was the real thing, but his wars weren't animated. Born in 2008 in Kenya's Masai Mara, he earned his name after a brutal 2012 fight left his right eye half closed. His mane was thick and jet black, the kind wildlife artists dream of sketching, and his presence lived up to it. Alongside his brothers Morani, Sikio, and Hunter, he ruled multiple prides and controlled more land than most coalitions ever managed. He survived a spear wound during a clash with herders, endless fights with rival males, and injuries that would have ended other lions' rule. National Geographic and BBC Earth tracked him for years, making him one of the most photographed wild lions on Earth. Even near the end, limping, skinny, and aged, he still patrolled his domain. On June 11, 2021, he died under an acacia tree, leaving behind a legacy that merged raw wildlife with the mythos of Disney's most iconic villain. Number 11. The Tsavo Man-Eaters. Have you seen The Ghost in the Darkness? That film was based on them. In 1898, during the construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway, workers in Tsavo started vanishing at night. Two massive, mannerless male lions were stalking camps, dragging men straight from their tents and devouring them. Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson, leading the railway, spent 9 months trying to stop them. By the time he finally killed both lions, 35 workers were confirmed dead. Locals insisted the true number was closer to 135. The lions' skins and skulls were eventually sold to Chicago's Field Museum, where they're still displayed today. Scientists believe their maneless appearance and taste for humans came from a mix of dental problems and access to easy prey. More than a century later, the Tsavo man-eaters remain one of the deadliest predator tales in recorded history, lions whose hunger turned a railway project into a battlefield, and whose legacy still terrifies anyone who reads about their rampage. Number 10. Cecil. Think of how Mufasa's death shattered people in The Lion King. Cecil's killing in 2015 hit even harder. Born around 2002 in Zimbabwe's Hwange Park, Cecil was a striking male lion with a black-tipped mane that made him famous. He became the face of Oxford University's Lion Research Project and a major draw for wildlife tourism. But in 2015, he was baited out of the reserve, shot with a bow, and left wounded for hours before being killed. The story exploded globally. Jimmy Kimmel cried on live television. Ricky Gervais demanded justice. Debates over trophy hunting reached political floors worldwide. Zimbabwe responded by banning certain hunting practices. But it came too late. Cecil had already become a martyr for conservation. His pride, including his sons like Zanda, survived and continued his bloodline. His death is one of the most publicized wildlife tragedies of this century, and a grim reminder of how easily kings can fall. Number 9. Leo, the MGM lion. You've seen him a lot of times before a film, roaring in a golden frame for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. But few realize the MGM lion wasn't just one animal. It's been a series over the decades. The most iconic was Leo, a Barbary lion used in the logo from 1957 to 2021. Unlike earlier lions who just growled, Leo delivered a deep, thunderous roar that became cinema's most legendary intro. Born in 1956, he was trained by renowned animal expert Ralph Helfer and appeared not just in the MGM logo, but also in parades and charity events. Leo's calm temperament made him a star. He once rode shotgun in Helfer's convertible during a public event. His footage may have been recorded, but his roar still echoes before billions of films. Today, Leo's image remains the face of MGM, making him arguably the most watched lion in history, immortalized not on the savannah, but forever sealed in the opening seconds of film history. All right, guys, now let's head over to Number 8. Notch, the kind of the Masai Mara. If Scarface was the battle-hardened king, Notch was the founding father. Born around 1993 in Kenya's Masai Mara, Notch rose to dominance in the early 2000s and sired over 30 cubs. His most legendary offspring were known as the Notch Boys, 5 sons, Notch 2, Long, Grimace, Ron, and Caesar. Together, they built one of the strongest lion coalitions in modern African history. For years, they took over prides and expanded their influence across the Mara. Wildlife photographers compared them to Game of Thrones houses, each son commanding territory and defending it with ferocity. Notch lived to 15, a rare feat for a wild male, and passed naturally in 2013. His lineage still rules many corners of the Masai Mara today. Notch wasn't just a lion, he was the blueprint, a dynasty builder whose bloodline reshaped the balance of lion power across Kenya's most iconic plains. His legacy lives on in the faces and roars of the next generation. Number 7. Bob Jr. If Scarface ruled the Mara, Bob Jr. reigned over the Serengeti. Nicknamed Snigve, which is a Swedish word for handsome, he was known for his immense golden mane that glowed under the sun. Born around 2010, he quickly rose to power, dominating the central Serengeti for nearly a decade. Tourists called him the most photogenic lion in Africa. His calm, commanding stance made him a favorite among wildlife photographers. But on March 24, 2023, that era ended. A coalition of younger males launched a takeover. They attacked and killed him in a territorial clash that mirrored nature's brutal balance. His death was covered worldwide. Tanzanian park authorities called it a natural transition of leadership. Bob Jr.'s fall reminded everyone that even the most majestic lions don't die in peace. They're replaced. In the wild, every kingdom ends eventually, no matter how iconic the crown. Yet Bob Jr.'s image still lives on, etched into photographs, memories, and the untamed rhythm of the Serengeti. Number 6. Christian, the Transvaal lion. That viral video of a lion hugging two men after years apart? That was Christian. He was born in 1969 inside Harrods department store in London, back when selling exotic animals was still legal. Australians John Rendell and Anthony Bourke bought him and raised him in their Chelsea apartment. He walked King's Road on a leash, lounged in their furniture store, and even posed for magazines. But as he grew, they knew London couldn't be his forever home. Through George Adamson, the conservationist behind Born Free, Christian was released into Kenya's Kora National Reserve. A year later, his former owners returned. Cameras rolled as Christian spotted them, sprinted across the clearing, and embraced them with a full-body hug, purring and licking like a giant house cat. The footage has been watched by millions and still stands as one of the most emotional animal reunions ever caught on film. After 1973, Christian vanished into the wild, likely leading a pride of his own. No one knows if he is alive or not, but he got famous. Number 5. Seaboy, the Return of King. Seaboy's life played out like an African war drama. Named The Lover by National Geographic researchers, he ruled parts of Tanzania's Serengeti and was known for his calm charm around lionesses. In 2009, everything changed. A ruthless coalition known as the Killers launched an ambush. Seaboy was mauled, his thigh shredded. Most thought he wouldn't survive. For weeks, researchers believed his story had ended. But months later, Seaboy returned, scarred but unbroken. He reclaimed part of his former range, fathered new cubs, and re-established dominance. His resilience became the heart of multiple National Geographic films, capturing the raw, merciless world of lions. Seaboy wasn't the biggest, but his comeback was unmatched. He defied nature's script and rewrote it with claw marks. His story reminded everyone that in lion warfare, strength isn't always about force. It's about how many times you can take the fall, drag yourself back up, and still walk like you own the dust beneath your paws. So, fight like a lion. Number 4. Frazier. Well, now imagine a washed-up rock star on his final tour, then picture him as a lion. Frazier was an aging, toothless Barbary lion at Lion Country Safari in California during the early 1970s. At 19 years old, he was half-paralyzed, fragile, and well past his prime. But when zookeepers placed him with 6 young lionesses, something strange happened. Frazier became the father of 33 cubs in just 16 months. The press called him the sensuous lion, and his fame skyrocketed. He appeared on talk shows, his face printed on shirts, and even inspired a loosely based film in 1973. Despite his frailty, Fraser's legend kept growing until his death in 1972 from natural causes. Scientists never figured out how a lion that old and worn down became such a prolific breeder. But to the public, he was proof that even a nearly toothless old lion could shake up history and steal the spotlight, one last roar at the very end. Number 3. Xanda. If Cecil's death was the opening chapter of a tragedy, Xanda's was the sequel no one wanted. Xanda was born in 2008 and was one of Cecil's sons, heir to the same dark mane, calm energy, and proud stance. Researchers followed him closely as he matured into a leader, walking the same trails his father once ruled. But in 2017, just 2 years after Cecil was killed, Xanda was shot by a trophy hunter just outside park boundaries, the same disputed hunting zone. He was only 6. Conservationists were outraged. His killing proved that very little had changed since Cecil's death, and protections still weren't enough. Xanda left behind cubs, a broken legacy, and a bitter reminder that symbolic change doesn't stop bullets. His name now echoes alongside his father's in global conservation campaigns. In the wild, being the son of a king doesn't guarantee safety. It just means the crown you inherit may already be marked. Number 2. Lunquito. Think Mufasa's wisdom, but lined with scars from 100 battles. Lunquito was born in 2004 and roamed Kenya's Amboseli ecosystem for nearly 20 years, an age most wild males never reach. Few lions live past 12, yet Lunquito fended off younger challengers long into his late teens. His mane had silvered with time, his face etched with years of combat over prey, territory, and mating rights. Locals called him a legend. His survival was featured in Kenyan news and conservation reports. But on May 10, 2023, hunger led him into a livestock pen, a deadly risk for any predator. Villagers speared him to protect their cattle. That single decision ended the life of one of the oldest wild lions ever documented. Conservationists called it a devastating loss. Lunquito wasn't just a survivor, he was living proof of longevity, toughness, and the weight of leadership carried over decades in a land where most lions never grow old enough to fade. Number 1. Elsa. Anyone who's read Born Free or seen the 1966 Oscar-winning film already knows Elsa. Her story began in 1956 when game warden George Adamson killed a charging lioness in Kenya's Meru National Park. In her den, he found 3 cubs. 2 were sent to a zoo. But George and his wife Joy raised Elsa like their own while teaching her to hunt and survive in the wild. Against all odds, Elsa was successfully reintroduced into the park and even raised 3 cubs of her own. Joy's book became a global bestseller, and the film adaptation turned Elsa into a conservation icon. But her life ended in heartbreak. She died in 1961 from a tick-borne disease, leaving her cubs orphaned. Her grave still draws visitors, and the Born Free Foundation continues to fight for captive wild animals in her name. Elsa's story proved something few had believed before, that a lion could be both truly wild and deeply loved. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon.